Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Good morning to one and all. In my previous lecture, I gave you 3 paragraphs that was on page number 7 and 8. Now we continue again, page number 8. If you have a textbook, you can take it out there immediately and write. Remember, whenever you write anything in your textbook, you will write with pencil. None other product except your lead pencil. Okay, so let me continue with that. Thinking ahead of the next winter, father decided to create a place from the elements, a strong storage spot to protect themselves and their belongings. Fritz came up with the idea of a cave. A cave is a hollow place within a mountain, or you can say a tunnel within a mountain. If I am not mistaken, I have given you the meaning also of that. Yes, here it is. Cave, a tunnel in a mountain or a hollow space within a mountain place. So the idea was given by his son Fritz. Now obviously the change in weather, the first house was a tent, the next house was a tree, was one tree at a height of 30 feet, and the next house, their dwelling place or where they are going to live, is a place to protect themselves from winter. Obviously in such an area, a deserted island, completely forested out there, the weather would be rather chill, and in the winter they would have to move themselves from the treetop to another dwelling. That, and Fritz came up with the idea of giving them a cave. Not finding one, obviously you won't find one in such a place. They thought of carving out, sculpting it out, breaking into the mountains on their own cave in the rocks abutting the camping site. Camping site meaning where they were living presently. They were living on a tree. So abutting means having common boundary, meaning they were living side by side. Living side by side. Abutting, having common boundary. That means where the tree was, they were found another tunnel out there, or a house, a mountain out there, a hilltop out there, where they would be carving out their house with the winter season, and they would be living out there so that they will be safe from the chill of the winter, the cold of the winter. On the smooth face of the rock, father marked the dimensions, the length and breadth, height in that case, length, breadth and height of an opening, and they picked away at the hard surfaces. Picked away means they started breaking through or carving through or sculpting the hard surfaces using their axes, chisel, hammer and their shovels. Shovel, the spade. Over the next several days, the family cut windows into the rocks to allow cross current of air and for sunlight to enter the cave. Cross current air, opposite direction. Obviously wherever there is a door, there should be a door opposite that. Wherever there is a window, there should be a window opposite that, so that the cross current, the current moving, the air moving from one end to the other would have a good movement within the cave itself. And obviously with that there will be air and sunlight coming in from all the entrance in that way. When they had finished, they had 4 rooms complete with a fireplace where obviously when you are during the winter season, you require to keep your house warm, so you will drop a fire out there by putting logs together and lighting it up so that the house is warm. This is not found in India, because India is always a humid climate in that way, humid and hot climate in India. These fireplaces are mainly found in cold regions, especially in England, especially in London, in your Germany, Spain, Brazil. You will find all these places, fireplaces. They had now a new winter home. That means this is a third house or third dwelling place. First was your tent, second was the tree, one tree top, the diameter of the tree was 40 feet above, 30 feet above the ground, and now the third house is the house of the cave, where they had 4 complete rooms and a fireplace for the keeping the chill out of the cave. Now next para, if you yet have doubts in a word in this paragraph of yours, you can ask me as and when you require it. Because of the low light, the cave house they had built felt oppressive. Oppressive means rather dark, rather distressing, rather despairing, rather creating no humor to it in that case. It should be rather attractive, rather bright, rather looking good, so that we people can live in it in a happy manner. So to rectify it, to remedify it, or to do the corrections in that way, to remedy this, father and Jack rigged up a new light. Rigged up means made up. Rigged up means made up. They made a light and put it up on a bamboo or one of the corners of the walls, and they found a bamboo pole that would reach from the floor to the ceiling. That means they put up bamboos in each room, and they put up lanterns in each and every place that they were making in it. Then after securing means tying up to the bamboo in a particular manner, Jack climbed up to the top of the pole and hung a large oil lamp that they had rescued from the ship. Jack, obviously a small boy who could move about on the bamboo very easily, so they had carried obviously the necessary equipment, the necessary artillery, the necessary devices were carried by the Robinson family, and they did the needful, and Jack climbed up the top of the poles and hung the oil lamps out there, and there was ample amount of light within the 4 rooms of each of them. Any questions in that? Please remember, you have to subscribe, you have to share, and you have to like the video, so that everyone in and around the state of Maharashtra can have a view of this free of cost in that case. Any questions, dear? One day they found that one of the family's hut had been completely destroyed, and the cultivated fields around it had been trampled and ruined. There were huge footmarks everywhere. Father saw massive damage to trees as well as many huge footprints which he identified as belonging to an elephant herd. That means now they were, once when they came out of the cave one day, they found that the previous living place, the previous hut, was broken down, destroyed or dilapidated or collapsed by the footmarks or pug marks of various animals out there. The trampled means crushed total to earth. Ruined means totally down to earth in that manner. And when they moved about looking for what was a disaster, they found that there were elephant footprints out there. That means all this disaster of the hut, which was their previous house, had been done by a herd of elephants in that case. Herd of elephant, herd is a collective noun for group of elephants. So in that way, these elephants were the disaster of the huts in that case. Any questions out there? You are most welcome to ask me. Footmarks, footprints, the marks left by the animals or by human beings, both are one and the same in that way. The cultivated field, the garden was all ruined, was all disastered or totally come to an end. Next paragraph, page number 8. The next morning, the family began to design a new defense to discourage all wild animals from entering their cultivated land. That means the family again began to make a new defense line. That means to make some protection work so that wild animals will not enter into the region where these people are living and where this work is being done. Wild animals, which does lot of disaster, does lot of problem, does lot of ruinous out there. They also finalized their ideas about the new residents. In that same way, they kept thinking of where will be our next house in that case. Residence means next dwelling place, next house in that way. Rather than building a house on stilts on bamboos. a house which are built on bamboos are known as stilt houses, above the land of 3 to 4 feet above the land, and very strong stilts or bamboos are used, or stump of the trees are used for its building of the trees, which the animals could knock down easily, so that the house of the stilts could not be knocked down by the elephants in that case. They would use 4 strong trees growing in a square near one another as the foundation. That means instead of using bamboos out there or sticks out there, what would they use for stilt houses? They would be using 4 strong trees and of equal size, and they were approximately 12 feet apart from the place in that case, and therefore the next house was the top of 4 trees which were at a 12 feet distance from each other. The trees were of equal size, approximately 12 feet apart. Thus they built another safe house in that case, and that was the first house was the tent. Next house was the tree top, one tree top. The third house was the cave, and the fourth house was where all the 4 trees were joined together as stilts, and on top of that they made their house where no disaster or no animal herd would come and destroy their own house, or their problem would be solved in for living or dwelling place in that case. Any doubts, any queries, any problems, anything not understood, please ask me as and when you want. I am available 24/7. You can chat with me whenever you feel like. Thank you. Jazakallah.